Good morning, and welcome to my Human Growth and Development informational video. Today we are going to dive into the social, emotional, physical, and cognitive growth displayed in newborns and infants. To add credibility to my claims are Jean Piaget, Albert Bandura, and John Dewey. Along the way, I plan to give advice to parents and mention milestones they should look for at each stage in their child's development. In the background is a picture of my own little monster to help you better understand the milestones in the development of the child during each stage. To begin, I will start with Piaget's cognitive development theory. There are 4 parts to Piaget's cognitive development theory. There's sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. And then on top of that, he also has 6 substages of sensory motor development. Within the first substage, there are simple reflexes from birth to 1 month. For instance, infants may be seen sucking on their thumbs, they're also eating, there's a startle reflex, and they're sleeping for long periods of time. However, parents beware. Not all children will have the same eating habits or sleeping patterns. You need to make sure you implement a schedule so that way the child can become accustomed to it. As well as the sucking reflex, not all children will suck their thumbs. For instance, my child decided to suck a Soothie. She was more interested in pacifiers and never intended to suck on her thumb. In Piaget's second substage, which is 1 to 4 months, habits are formed, as well as the child gaining an 8-inch view span, and they also have coordination of their senses. Within the 8-inch view span is view of the mother or the father when the child is being held. As well as coordination of the senses, being just now brought into the new world, the child has to gain control of their hearing, sight, taste, sound, and touch. In the third substage, 4 to 8 months, infants become more object-oriented and repeat interesting or pleasurable acts. According to John Dewey's pragmatic approach to learning, the children will learn best by doing and acting upon the world around them. This continuity of experiences is going to be exponential to their growth. Also note, parents, that children are going to be doing what Albert Bandura calls observational and incidental learning. The child will begin reproducing observed behavior, and they're going to gain information and store it for later use. For example, the child may see the adult pick up a remote that is used for the television. Though the child does not yet know how to use the remote, they will begin to pick up the remote because it's a reproduced behavior. During these times, parents take extra caution. At this stage, everything the child picks up is going to be an object that is inserted into the mouth. So be careful that these objects are not sharp, dangerous, or harmful due to chemicals. With incidental learning, say for instance that a parent hides toys within a child's safe cabinet. If the child sees the parent put the toy into the cabinet and take it out of the cabinet, the child will then proceed to open and close the cabinet to view if the toy is still there or to take out the toy. In the fourth substage, we have coordination of vision and touch, eye-hand coordination, intentional acts, and coordination of schemes. At this stage, ladies and gentlemen, now that we've mastered our crawling, we are now trying to perfect our standing and walking skills. We are now sitting up, paying attention, and reacting to the stimuli in the world around us. Again, parents, proceed with caution in this stage. Now that your child is mobile, you will need to begin applying baby gates, child safety locks to cabinets and or doors, and you'll need to be aware of outlets and sharp metal objects that can cut, hurt, harm the child. In the fifth substage, infants are now intrigued by properties of things done with objects, and they begin experimenting with new behaviors. Leaving the 8 to 12 month sector and entering the 12 to 18th month sector, nature has become very important. Instincts, activities, and interests are starting to be a point of our education. At this point, we should begin treating, as Froebel calls, our kids like flowers. Let them engage in creative expression. Let them have the pleasure of singing and the satisfaction of soul. Explore the different ideas that they try to exemplify, and make sure that they are engaging in physical activity. Parents, now is a time more vital than ever to make sure you're providing your child with a nurturing environment. Begin adding manipulatives into their daily activities. Make sure they are using their hands and feet. When using their hands, make sure that they can easily open and shut, fill, dump, and grasp. Upon using their feet, make sure that they are being active and that they can have their own independence with a sense of facilitation. Also, because they have great attention to detail, begin buying different toys that make different sounds, have bright colors, and also engage in shape making or shape placing. Now that we are 18 to 24 months and in the final and 6th substage of development, infants will develop the ability to use primitive symbols and form lasting mental images. At the end of this stage, children achieve object permanence, and infants understand the difference between the self and the world around them. At this stage, parents, flashcards would be an amazing idea. For instance, they can have short vocab words, letters, and or numbers with bright colors and animals or plants on them. Now that your child is recognizing symbols, you can now even begin using sign language or code words. For instance, you can say hot when approaching the stove so the child knows not to touch it, whether the stove is on or off. Now having a sense of themselves and the world around them, children can now better understand nature and the animals and plants within it. For instance, you can say flower, and they will know that all things that look such as roses, tulips, lilies, or trees and such are going to be flowers, or that they are plants. When it comes to animals, we can teach them the names of the animals and the sounds that they make so that the association will recall recollection when approaching them in real life. However, parents, if a child begins to call a cat a dog or a dog a cat, or so on and so forth with other animals, do not be alarmed. Because they are still young, they have no concept of the actual name of animals or that they are not what they seem to be. However, do appreciate and praise them for the association that it is an animal and of similar consistency with body or hair type. And now, in the image presented, you can see Chloe on an old cell phone of mine. Though she does not know how to dial a specific person and call them on her own, she does know that buttons are pushed and that in some form or fashion, they connect me to someone else and that I am currently speaking with them. Though some parents are anti-technology, I do actually recommend letting your child play with phones or iPads or laptops as such if facilitated. For instance, it works on a child's metacognition. They begin thinking about thinking and then will lead to unconsciously acting. As well as that, I also believe that it develops their interpersonal skills and their visual skills. For instance, they will begin to have photo memory or button memory, as you would call it, with a cell phone. Interpersonal skills are their people smarts. They will begin to be pro-social and begin engaging with the world around them and people that they have or have not met. By reassuring your child that engaging in conversation is a-okay, they will be ready for future socialization. Together. Again presented in the photo is another picture of Chloe. She is taking her first selfie. I can honestly say that I was very proud of her ability to do so on her own, and also that it was actually a pretty high resolution picture. However, before taking the selfie, Chloe stared at her reflection for approximately 2 minutes. I believe this is important to let children see the reflection so that way they can gain self-concept at an early age. But upon gaining self-concept, we've also gained egocentrism, a part of the pre-operational stage in stage 2, from ages 2 to 7. At this stage, we are now truly getting a dose of the child's emotional development and the lack thereof. To put things in simpler terms, egocentrism is when the child starts thinking that the world revolves around themselves. They also begin engaging in collective monologues. This is usually seen in girls when playing with Barbies, or boys when playing with trucks and cars and action figures. Though most children will believe that everyone thinks as they do and that the whole world shares their feelings and desires, not all children will think this way. Some children do have compassion or sense of being of others. Impacted by parental influences, moral development, and socialization, some children will show empathetic behavior and actually understand one's feelings. Some children can decipher the emotions of themselves and of others. They know when there is pride, guilt, happiness, fear, sadness, confusion, madness, and embarrassment. Now that they've developed a vocabulary and it's expanded, and they can use transitional objects, children can now better understand their parents, and parents can better understand their children. However, not all parents are so lucky. Some children will engage in the use of rage and temper tantrums. They will use sarcasm and sometimes inflict pain. Now gaining insight on the social, emotional, and cognitive growth of your child, we can now head to the physical aspects of their development. Parents, do not be afraid if during infancy your child is growing at a very slow rate. This is very normal for this age. They should be growing within 2 to 3 inches in height and about 5 pounds in weight each year. And usually boys are slightly larger than girls, but their baby fat should drop regardless. By the end of their preschool years, they're going to begin losing their baby teeth, or primaries as some would call it. So it is very important that you take care of these teeth. Begin implementing child-safe toothpaste and soft bristled brushes for the children to use to begin brushing their teeth. While caring for your child's teeth, make sure that you're providing them with a healthy diet, which ensures the basic food groups, the healthiest ones being fruits and vegetables, whole grains. Though some parents will have picky eaters and eating can be unpredictable during this stage, Try to introduce new foods into your child's diet. It'll give them an adaptive skill, as well as learning the safety of new foods. And finally, within the physical sector, I suggest that you look at your child's brain development. For instance, between the ages of 2 and 6, the brain is supposed to increase from 70 to 90% of its adult weight, as well as the left hemisphere engaging in the increase in language skills and the right hemisphere gradually developing over the child's adolescence and their early childhood. After covering major areas of your child's development, I want to leave one final bit of advice to parents. In the words of John Dewey, I want you to remember that education is life itself. These two topics are actually interrelated. Remember that even though your child is engaging in classroom activities and learning the Common Core, you still need to make sure that their instincts, activities, and interests outside of the classroom are still a starting point and an ending point of their education. For the environment we submerge them in will only be soaked up, for they are sponges. Thank you guys for watching my video, and good luck on the rest of your midterms. Bye!